Hiya guys, welcome back. It's Will here once again, and we're here to break down UFC 194. I cannot believe it's only 9 days away. I've been looking forward to this card ever since it was announced what it was going to be. I was a little bit surprised that Aldo and McGregor were going to fight this year. I thought it would be next year that it would have happened, but I cannot believe it's only 9 days away. Thursday evening here. This time next week we'll be well in the rundown to UFC 194 with Namajunas, V Van Zandt a week from tonight. Then we have Edgar versus Mendes. My picks are up for both of those. Please go and watch and let me know your picks for the events. And then we come on to UFC 194 on the Saturday night, which is the main card is just fucking believable. Excuse my French, but I'm just a little bit pumped up for this event. The main card, the main event of the night, Jose Aldo, the UFC Featherweight Champion, faces off against the notorious Conor McGregor, the UFC Interim Featherweight Champion, in just a fight which is, thinking about it now just gives me kind of goosebumps thinking about those two matching off. Co-main event, Luke Rockhold, former Strikeforce champion, facing off against the UFC middleweight champion Chris Weidman. Jacare Souza against Yoel Romero. Demian Maia against Gunnar Nelson. It's just a jiu-jitsu guys kind of dream match. Be great to see those two guys go at the ground. And the fight opening up the card, we have Jeremy Stephens against Matt's Blessed Holloway, and there is some interesting scraps throughout the card as well. I mean, wow! Just thinking that I'm sitting here thinking about McGregor Aldo. The only kind of regret I kind of have is back in late June, I was only like a few weeks away from seeing Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor. It would have been one of the fights it was the fight I was looking forward to seeing, and then to get that pulled away, I'm thinking now, man, I could have seen that fight live in July, but obviously things happen and injuries take place, and I did still see a great fight night. It was a great event, UFC 189. I will not complain about that event, but just the chance to see Aldo McGregor is something that I had the opportunity maybe go for. I maybe had to quit my job. I was planning going to this event, but I would have to quit my job, and then my head kind of came into it and had to kind of think a little bit about it, and I made the right decision, because you can't be quitting jobs just to go to an event. I've got some of my buddies flying over for this next week. I hope you guys, if you're watching, have a great time. I know you will, and enjoy yourself when you're out there. I'll catch up with you very, very soon. But let's get into this card. Phenomenal main event, but we have to start all the way down at the bottom. We're going to start off with Court McGee facing off against Marcio Alexandre Jr. Now, Court McGee, we haven't seen this guy in about a year, pretty much to the day that he comes back at UFC 194. He is coming back after a loss. I think he had an injured hand, and I think he had a back injury as well. He lost to Ryan Flair last time out. Ryan Flair does what Ryan Flair always does, and kind of spoils the fight and wins the fight via decision. He did that very much so there. McGee didn't look particularly great in the fight. I think just Flair did what he really does well, and it's just spoil fights and gets a decision. Before that, he had a really nice win. When you look at it now, it's a great win over Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker has went to the middleweight division, looked phenomenal, knocked out Brad Tavares, Clint Hester, and then had a very impressive win over Uriah Hall. He's been around for about 5 years, surprisingly enough, Court McGee in the UFC. He's been around a long ass time. Beat Josh Neer. He's a gritty fighter. He pops out a nice jab, but he's kind of well-rounded everywhere, but he doesn't really shine in anything. He's a very tough, gritty guy, and he always keeps coming forward. And I expect him. I don't rate Marcio Alexandre Jr. one little bit. I didn't rate him in the show awfully much. He's got that karate background. Came out against Vale Alves. Vale Alves hit him with a big right hand, caught him in a guillotine, put him to sleep. Then next time out, survived 3 rounds with Tim Means, which, to be fair, that's a feather in his bow, because Tim Means is a tough fighter and he finishes guys. But I don't like it in this fight. I think he's going to get taken down. I think he has got the advantage on the feet. I think with his leg kicks, he throws a lot of inside leg kicks, and he'll go to the body a little bit, but he gasses quite bad. McGee's a cardio machine. I think he comes out of Utah at the pit. So he's got a very good gas tank. I just like McGee everywhere in this one. I think he'll take him down. He'll beat him up, and I think I can see a 3rd round finish for Court the Crusher McGee. Moving on, we have in the lightweight division, we have John Makdessi against Yancy Medeiros. Now, John Makdessi, the last time we seen this guy out, he was against Donald Cerrone. Before that, a few months before that, he or at least a good month beforehand, he had a really nice performance against Shane Campbell. Showed his taekwondo that he's got, and knocked Shane Campbell out, which was a nice victory. Came in short notice against Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and just got beat up. These are two guys who are good strikers, but you've seen the elite striking from Donald Cerrone, and he broke the jaw of John Makdessi. And to be honest with you, I didn't think we'd see John Makdessi back. I'm sure he was for retiring. And when guys are making moves like that, I think your head's already halfway out the door, and I hate hearing things like that. And you will not see me pick people that their head's already halfway out the door. I will go with the other guy, even if it wasn't. I think Yancy Medeiros is a fighter who, last time out wasn't his best performance. He came out and he was against a kind of man possessed and Dustin Poirier. But he's a fighter who I actually love watching him fight. His fights that he's won have been very, very impressive. He beat Yves Edwards, but got that turned to no contest for testing positive for something that he probably shouldn't have been taking. Lost to Jim Miller at UFC 172, where he got caught with a guillotine choke, a pretty sick guillotine choke. Then he came back and he had two beautiful submissions, a reverse bulldog one over Damon Jackson, and then another guillotine choke against Joe Proctor it was, and then he faced Dustin Poirier last time, and he got hit with I don't know why he tried to trade. I know he's got a lot of length, he's got a lot of reach, but he tried to stand with Dustin Poirier. And Dustin Poirier in the lightweight division is a very, very different fighter from what we've seen down at featherweight. He seems to have a lot of confidence. He's got his confidence back after the McGregor loss, and he tried to trade and he got hit with a huge right hand, got buckled with the left one and went down and won. But this fight, I see kind of taking place on the feet. Makdessi's going to come out, try and use his leg kicks, his movement, probably pepper that lead leg of Medeiros. But I think Medeiros can catch him with shots. I do think it'll be quite close. If it goes to the ground, I really fancy Medeiros. Close fight, but I like Medeiros. I don't like the fact that Makdessi's head was kind of half out of the game. I think Medeiros really needs this win to kind of really give him some pep again in that lightweight division. I'm going to Yancy Medeiros. It could be a finish in this late in the third, but I like Medeiros via a decision, so I'm going to pick Yancy Medeiros. Staying in the lightweight division with Joe Proctor against Magomed Mustafayev. Mustafayev last time out, this guy, I think this guy is going to be very special in this lightweight division. Comes out of Russia, so you know he's got that Sambo background. I've watched his fights before he came into the UFC. I think it was his 10th fight I maybe watched. It was Andre, Koshkin, and he caught him with a verbal submission. He caught him in a heel hook, devastating power, caught him there, cranked it down there. And then the next time up, he power bombed Amir Khan Adefeyev, and it was a devastating. It was kind of like a rampage one, but he picked him up, just threw him down, powerbomb KO. Abubakar Nurmagomedov, it was a doctor stoppage. Weirdly enough, this guy's got like 4 doctor stoppages in there, and most of them after the first round, so they go back to the corner and they want no more of this guy. And last time out, I thought he was a little bit reserved against Piotr Holman, but end of the second round, TKO stoppage, he beat Holman up everywhere. He beat him up in the feet, took him down, ground and pounded him a little bit, and just pretty much beat his ass. From what I'm hearing, training out of Jackson Winklejohns, this guy is going to be a contender. I think it was Patrick Wyman I saw last week on Twitter saying this guy looked unbelievable, along with Omari Akhmedov as well, I think was another one. So when he's saying that he's looking good, Patrick Wyman's one of the good guys on Twitter who breaks down fights, probably the best out of anybody with Robin Black. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good night for Mustafayev. Joe Proctor, on the other hand, coming off a nice win. 2 seconds left in the fight, he submits Justin Edwards. But I just don't think Joe Proctor's got anything for Mustafayev, and I can see Mustafayev really running through this fight. Hopefully I'm not doing Joe Proctor a disservice here, but Mustafayev is a guy I'm very, very high on. I think he can definitely challenge for a title one day, and I like Mustafayev, in the first round. So I'm going to go a first round TKO victory for Magomed Mustafayev. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 card on the prelims here, continuing with that. Staying in the lightweight division, we have Leonardo Santos against Kevin Lee. Now, Leonardo Santos hasn't lost in the UFC. He's got, I think, 3 wins and a draw in there. Won the Ultimate Fighter Brazil. For the lightweight division, he's a big guy. He struggles to make the weight. He's got a very nice reach, but he doesn't really use it too much. He's considering he comes out in Nova União, his striking is not good whatsoever. But when it goes to the ground, the guy is very, very crafty down there, and he's very, very good. But he's against Kevin Lee here. I'm very high in Kevin Lee. I think a lot of people are the people I speak to on Twitter are very high in this guy. We've seen in his last fight against James Montasri, he kind of hurt him in the feet. I thought Montasri had the advantage on the feet. Obviously not. Took him down, caught a rear naked choke, and he tapped out. But Kevin Lee, I think he trains a little bit with Floyd Mayweather's gym in Las Vegas, along with Extreme Couture. Robert Follis is a great up-and-coming coach. I think this is going to be the breakout performance that's really going to push Kevin Lee into the forefront of the lightweight division, right into that top 15. Run about there. It's a tough top 15 to break into, but I think he might do it. I think he's going to come forward. He's going to lay some bombs on Leonardo Santos, put him against the cage. I think he's going to take him down. He has to be careful if he takes him down, because Santos is crafty. He's got some really nice submissions in his repertoire. But I think Kevin Lee, I've got a good feeling he's going to pound this guy out. Kevin Lee, for me, second round TKO victory, if not a very, very dominant decision. Most of these wins are by decision, but I want to see some finishes in this one in the lead up to the main card. So I'm going to go Kevin Lee via second round TKO. Going to the welterweight division with Varley Alves against Colby Covington. I'm very excited for this fight because Colby Covington, I got speaking to him in Las Vegas, and pretty fun fight. I think he's definitely a developing fight. I think he's 8-0, wins over Wang Sai, Wagner Hosha via submission, and last time out he beat a very decorated veteran in Mike Pyle, who's a very tough guy. He's a guy who his striking's coming along slowly but surely. You can see that he's throwing in some high kicks. He's trying to use a crisp jab, try to use footwork and use his angles. He's still a little bit behind, but when his striking's not up to par, he's got a really nice wrestling game. He's a wrestler by trade, and he'll take you down and hurt you down there. Varley Alves, on the other hand, he won the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, and has looked very, very good in his UFC career, in all fairness. Coming off a win over Nordin Taleb with a first round submission. He beat Alan Jouban in what was a bit of a kind of controversial decision. I thought it was a very close fight. Nonetheless, he got the decision there, and then he beat Marcel Alexandre to win the show there. When it comes to striking, he's a lot faster. He's got a lot faster hand speed. He's got better movement. He plants his feet and he throws with more power. So that's something that Covington, I think he's going to feel a shot for Alves, and he's just going to go into wrestler mode and take this guy down. I don't think he really wants to stay in the feet with Alves. He's very dangerous up there. But Alves, on the other hand, he's very dangerous when it hits the ground as well. I don't think he's as dangerous down there, but he could catch Covington in something on the ground. But the one thing I feel that Covington's got in his toolbox is a better gas tank than what Alves has, and he kind of struggled in the show with his gas tank a little bit, did Alves, and that's why I'm leaning Colby Covington this one. The odds, I've kind of got it spot on. Over here in Britain they're 9-10, so they're both the same price, but I just think that Covington's got a little bit more about him, and he's going to move on here and stay undefeated and take the O away from Varley Alves. So Colby Covington, unanimous decision. Women's strawweight division with Tisha Torres against Jocelyn Jones-Lybarger. This was supposed to be Michelle Waterson. I was really looking forward to that fight. I thought it was going to be an all-action fight. That was one of my potential fight of the night ones, because both girls, I think they would have stood up a little bit, and it would have been a really fun matchup. Karate against Taekwondo and all that jazz. Tisha Torres, I mean, she's won, I think she's 5 or 6-0, all of her wins via decision. She's beat some good girls in there, and Rose Namajunas and Paige Van Zandt. I think she beat them at the right time, because put 2 years forward from now, I don't think she beats them. We've seen against Angela Hill last time that she's got a bit of a ground game of wrestling, but she kind of lay down on her. She has got some nice kicks, but she doesn't have any power whatsoever in any of her attacks. Lybarger, she's the RFA champion, coming off a nice win over Joel last time out. 6-1 record, trains out the MMA lab. Decent, she's more of a kind of wrestler by trade, but in the last couple of fights she started to show off her striking, be a little bit more aggressive, which I think she needed to be. She's only got the 5 wins via decision, 1 via submission, but that was way back in the early days, and she did lose in the amateurs to a couple of girls, who we might see in the next season of The Ultimate Fighter. Ashley Cummins was one on there. It wouldn't surprise me if we've seen her on the show there. I think Tecia Torres is just a little bit too quick. I think the grappling's going to be fairly close, but I think the further the fight goes on, that Torres might just kind of accumulate more strikes and maybe get takedowns alongside that. Tecia Torres for me via decision, unanimous decision for me. The main event of the Fox Sports 1 card, Uriah Faber against Frankie Saenz. Now, Frankie Saenz he came off a great win over Yuri Alcantara, which was a big shock, one of the biggest shocks in the sport we've had this year, if not top 3, along with the big ones, of course. But betting wise, he was a big dog in that fight, and he came through. Last time against Salman Kakai, got a split decision there. Just a tough guy. He's very kind of well rounded everywhere. He's got some nice submissions, but he's against the guy in Uriah Faber here he needs to show something in this fight, because I think he is coming back. I'm a big Uriah Faber fan, I have been for many years, but he offered nothing against Frankie Edgar, and I think Henan Barrow kind of took his soul a little bit with that first round kind of TKO. Now it should have been stopped, don't think so. I think his best performance in the last 2 coming on 3 years was Michael Mayday McDonald, probably 2 years, which was an unbelievable performance, because McDonald is a great fighter, and he will continue to be a great fighter for many years to come. Beat Alex Caceres via submission, got a controversial win over Francisco Rivera, but I like him in this fight. I think he's very experienced. I think he's got the edge over Frankie Saenz everywhere. So I'm going to go Uriah Faber via, I think he could maybe catch a submission in this one. 3rd round submission for Uriah Faber. Now let's move on to this kick-ass main card. Starting off in the featherweight division, Max Blessed Holloway against Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. We'll start with Max Holloway, one of the most improved fighters in the last 2 years, without a shadow of a doubt. Very aggressive, comes straight at you, throws a lot of spinning attacks. He's got a really nice right hook followed with a right jab followed with a left hook. He's got devastating kicks to the legs, and he's got submissions when he goes to the ground as well. We've seen in his fight, ever since he's lost to Conor McGregor, there hasn't been a fighter, in my opinion, that has improved so much. Maybe Neil Magny's a guy who's improved quite a lot, but Max Holloway for me really is that kind of number 4 guy in that division, behind number 5, Edgar, Mendes, Aldo and McGregor. Went to Sweden, absolutely knocked Akira Kurosani's chin off in his home country. He beat Andre Fili with a nice submission before that, I should say. Cole Miller's a tough guy out there, but he totally outclassed him there, and then came back very shortly after that and totally run over Cub Swanson. I did not see that coming, and caught him with a submission late on in that fight. Last time out he beat Charles Oliveira. Oliveira got injured in that one, but I think he felt the power of Max Holloway very early, and I think sometimes Charles Oliveira has got a little bit of quit in him, and he sometimes looks to get himself out there. Now, he might have had an injury, he might have not, but I think he saw Max's power, wanted to get himself out there. and now he's moving on to Jeremy Stephens, who is a very tough guy and he's been around a hell of a long time and beat some very good fighters. Last time out, fucking hell, I remember watching this fight and it was balls to the walls against Dennis Bermudez. I bet Dennis Bermudez because the weight loss, he was overweight at the weigh-ins, was Jeremy Stephens, which was a surprise because I seen him at the MGM the whole week and he was trying his hardest. He was in good spirits, first of all. Really nice guy to speak to. Like I was talking to him about the Dos Anjos knockout and some of his fights beforehand, but he looked good to go, and that's why I changed my pick. But once again, to that fight, it was just back and forward, and then he won in the third round with a beautiful flying knee. But he did hurt Bermudez a few times in that fight. He actually showed some really good takedown defense in that fight. But in this one, I think he's just a little bit outmatched. I don't think he'll be stopped. I'll be very surprised if Max Holloway stops him, but I do see Max Holloway winning. But this is the type of fight that, Jeremy Stephens might just show up and just shock the world like he did against Dos Anjos. Now, I know it wasn't a shock back then, but you look at it now, it was a big, big punch that took him out, and he's got that there if Holloway gets a little bit too aggressive. But I like Max Holloway in this one, and I like him via unanimous decision. Moving on. What a fight this is. Gunny Nelson against Demian Maia. Just an absolute great fight. Let's keep talking about UFC 189. The finishing combo that Gunnar Nelson hit Brandon Thatch with, that right-left, it was so quick. It was literally, and he was down. And he jumped on his back, and as soon as that happened, it was done and dusted right there. Caught him in with a submission, rear naked choke. Looked phenomenal. I think, if I remember right, I picked Gunny, but I saw that when I was there through the week, I saw the size disparity. I thought, whoa, Brandon Thatcher, he's a fucking unit. He's a big, big guy. Gunny's going to have trouble if he can't get this to the ground. Shows how much I know. He absolutely scorched him in the feet. Best performance I think we've seen from Gunnar Nelson in the UFC. Coming off, did he come off the loss to maybe Rick Story as well? I could be wrong, I can't remember off the top of my head. But an absolute beast. No, in fact, he came off the win over Zach Cummins and looked phenomenal. With that, I was very close to the cage for UFC Dublin, and the little nuances on the ground that he shows, I mean, just by hitting the heel to the body opened him up for the rear naked choke. I was noticing that while I was watching, and I was kind of, I knew it was coming, and it was just some of the shots, peppering him in the head, shots to the body, got him there, and it was phenomenal. Now, Demian Maia on a 3-fight win streak, a little bit of a resurgence, wins over Yakovlev, Lafleur, and last time out against Neil Magny, he showed his chops when it went to the ground. He totally bossed Neil Magny for about 7 minutes of that one. Magny, I don't even think landed a strike the whole entire fight. Took him down, just passed guard, moved into better positions the whole entire fight, and was just phenomenal and caught a submission there. How do I see this fight going? Man, I hope these guys go to the ground. I really, really do, because I think personally, I think Gunnar Nelson could submit Demian Maia. I'll put that out there. I think he can. I think he's got some unbelievable technique once it hits the ground. From what I've seen with Maia, it's just that Zach Cummins. Now I know Zach Cummins ain't nothing to Demian Maia on the ground, but I just think Gunny is a really talented fighter, and he's a strong guy as well. Hopefully it goes to the ground. If this stays on the feet, though, I think Gunnar Nelson could knock him out. I've seen some people say we haven't seen the best of Gunnar Nelson on his feet yet. I firmly believe that personally. I think that he's got that karate background and he's got a lot more to show with that. So I think he could possibly TKO. I can't believe he's actually the underdog for this fight as well. I'll be betting Gunnar Nelson. I like him via a third round TKO. I think once Maia tires out, I think that Gunny's going to come into this fight very, very encouragingly, just take him down. Not take him down, just put him against the fence and unload some shots and really hurt him if he's very patient. And once he gets down there, I can see just ground and pound finish for Gunnar Nelson. So Gunnar Nelson for me there. Moving on to middleweight division. Holy shit. Ronaldo, Jacare, Souza against Yoel, the Soldier of God, Romero. Wow, this is the fight that's been made like 3 times, fell out a couple of times, but it's a fight that everybody wants to see, and it's pretty much the number 1 contender fight to face Jacare, face Weidman and Rockhold. Jeez, I lost my bearings there for a second. But since Ronaldo, Jacare, Souza has come into the UFC, he's looked phenomenal. Couple of wins over Chris Camozzi, that ain't shit. Yushin Okami, big shots in the first round there. TKO, put him against the cage, hit him with some massive left hands down in there, just pounded the shit out of Yushin Okami. Francis Carmon, never an easy guy to face, got a decision there. And a beautiful submission victory. Beautiful victory over Gegard Mousasi, submitted him. And Mousasi doesn't get finished. He's one of the most elite middleweights, and I think he'll show that against Michael Bisping in London next year, which the fight got made this week. But Yoel Romero, a guy who he's got this wrestling background, comes from Cuba, trains at American Top Team, but the guy's got some devastating strikes. And if he plants his feet and he lands something on you, you're in big trouble. And we've seen that against Leo Machida. He lost that first round and then came back in the third round. I just knew he was going to land something. I think I bet quite a lot of money on Yoel Romero that night, and he won me a lot of dosh. He's very long, he's very fast. He's just a unit of a guy in the middleweight division. Since he's come into the UFC, I mean, he's beat some really good fighters. He obviously had the controversial win over Tim Kennedy, but that was done and dusted. You know, he came out in the third round, knocked him out. Derek Brunson, who's a guy who's streaking in that middleweight division, who's a really top fighter, knocked him out with some punches and elbows on the bottom. Beat Brad Tavares. Obviously, the win over Tim Kennedy, and then a win over a legend like Leo Machida with some huge elbows from the ground. Just personally, I thought Leo Machida should never kind of win into that fight because he got his ass handed to him by Luke Rockhold. But Yoel Romero looked phenomenal in that fight as well. So my pick, how I see this fight going, I think Romero's going to kind of boss it in the feet a little bit, and I think eventually he's going to get the takedown, but he does have to be very careful down there because Jacare is a master once it hits the ground, and can catch a lot of things. I think he could take him down, let him back up, but I think he can knock out Ronaldo Souza, and not many people do that. But I'm going to go with a kind of wild pick and go Yoel Romero via knockout in the second round. Big balls pick. Do I think it'll come off? No, I think it's more a decision, but I am going with underdog and Yoel Romero for this one. Co-main event of the evening, we have Luke Rockhold against the All-American Chris Weidman. Wow, another great fight. Luke Rockhold, what can we say? He came into the UFC, had that fight with Vitor Belfort. Belfort was on his shit back then. If it wasn't, I think Rockhold would have wiped the floor with him. Since then, I think he's been incredible. His submission skills, his power that he has for that division. He has shown it at Costa Philippou. He's got. This is something I think he could use in this fight. He's got a wicked body kick, which I think that Weidman, if he doesn't watch out, could really get hurt by the body kick that Rockhold throws. Beat Costa Philippou with that body kick. Beat Tim Boach with a beautiful inverted triangle. Kimura, I think it was, off the top of my head. Michael Bisping just totally starched Michael Bisping in that one. Got him down there, caught him with a nice shot to put him down. Just kind of played with him a little bit and got the guillotine choke. And then last time out against Leo Machida was just an exclamation point. He really hurt Machida on the feet, took him down, and he hit some huge hammer fists, like left hands down there, and the head was bouncing off the mat. He's a good wrestler. We've seen that. He trains with DC and Cain Velasquez. Got a really good gas tank. He's very long. I think he's probably the longer fighter in this one. I think jiu-jitsu wise, I think Weidman's probably got the advantage, but it is very, very close. Chris Weidman, on the other hand, I mean, he's been nothing short of spectacular since he came into the UFC. Blitzed Mark Munoz, Alessio Sakara, got I think Demian Maia was another one that he beat, and then he got his shot at Anderson Silva, and he shot the world there, and then he beat him for a second time, beat Leo Machida in a fantastic fight, took down Machida in that one, but he came through some adversity in that one as well, and then he just steamrolled Vitor Belfort last time out. This is the fight kind of long in the making. We knew it was going to happen. How do I see the fight going? Wow. I've been going back and forward in this. I really think that Chris Weidman should win this fight, but Luke Rockhold is just kind of sitting there saying, look, you're going to make a wrong pick here. I'm going to beat his ass. I'm going to make it look fairly easy. But when the matchup was made, initially I went with Chris Weidman. I'm going to stick with my decision. I think it's going to be really, really close though, like really close. I think this is going to be a split decision victory for Chris Weidman. 48-47 for Chris Weidman, but I ain't betting this fight. I think that Luke Rockhold is this fight is as even as it could really get, and I don't think this will be the last time these two fight either. So Chris Weidman for me via split decision. Okay, main event time, the fight that we've been waiting probably since January, since Conor McGregor knocked out Dennis Seaver. Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor, holy shit. Right, how I've been going back and forth on this, and I had a little bit of a mini rant on Twitter earlier on, just the disrespect that some people have shown Jose Aldo, a guy who is the UFC Featherweight division, and always has been the UFC Featherweight division, and most of the WEC Featherweight division, a guy that just hasn't been beat. Lots of people show him disrespect because he got injured, and he didn't want to fight with an injury. So be it. The fight's happening here. What have we got with Jose Aldo? We've got elite striking, elite speed, leg kicks, which can just chop you down within 2 or 3 of those, and you can be down. But he has shown some kind of fragile kind of times recently. We've seen against Chad Mendes in that fight down in Brazil, the second one. He got hit with a lot of left hands. I just watched that fight literally before I made these picks, and he got hit with a really nice uppercut which put him down, and he got hit with a lot of nice counter strikes, especially with the left hand, and that is McGregor's money shot. But we've seen he's got a takedown, he's got like a grappling game as well. He did it with the Korean Zombie. He didn't stand with the Korean Zombie. He took the Zombie down and kind of dominated him down there, let him back up, and then did the same, took him down. It's been a long time. The only thing that I don't like with Jose Aldo, he just doesn't fight enough, but he's starched everybody and made it kind of look easy by beating everybody in in the division. Yeah, this is a fight. I've been going back and forth on this one as well. We'll talk about Conor McGregor. What can you say about the guy? The guy's got a chin of granite. He took some massive shots from Chad Mendes. I lost my shit when he won that fight in Las Vegas. I'll be honest, my buddy Michael was beside me, Ozzy was to the left of me, and the whole crowd was going shit, and I was hurling abuse. Now thinking about it, it's quite bad at the Americans to the right of me, because they were giving me shit when Mendes was beating on McGregor from the top position. But that was a fun night, thinking about it now. But he really hurt Mendes with those body shots early on. I think it was about a minute into the fight he hit the first one, and then that left hand is just absolute money. If he needs to watch what he's. The one thing with McGregor that I've been kind of noticing is his defense is lacking a little bit, and he can't do that with Jose Aldo, because Jose Aldo's got some big power and he'll put him on his backside. First thing in this fight, I think that Conor McGregor's going to get dropped, and we'll see what kind of fighter he's made of right then, because I think he will get dropped in this fight. Jose Aldo is an elite striker, but when it comes to chins, I do believe that Conor McGregor has the better chin. And when it comes to power, I don't think there's anybody that hits hard on that division than Conor McGregor. I think Jose Aldo is going to want to take this fight to the ground. I think he saw the blueprint for how you beat Conor McGregor. Do I think he keeps Conor McGregor there? Not one bit. If Chad Mendes can't do it, I don't believe Jose Aldo will do it. So my defining factors in this one comes down: better chin, more power, and they go to Conor McGregor in my opinion. It's such a tough fight to pick because Jose Aldo is, like I said, he is the featherweight division, and he has been around for so long. He's beat so many great fighters. I mean, Edgar, Mendes twice, Lamas. I could go on. He beat Faber back in the day. I mean, he's beat the best of the best, and he's only really shown one time maybe against Mark Hominick. He was a little bit susceptible, but I think he had a bad weight cut for that one. My pick for this main event is going to be Conor McGregor via TKO in the third round. I think Jose Aldo can't take the strikes. If he lands that left hand numerous times, I don't think he will be standing coming into the later rounds, which he does gas. We haven't seen McGregor over 5 rounds either, so we don't know what he's like per se too, but I can't go against Conor McGregor. Better chin, more power. I have to go with him in this fight, but Jose Aldo, legend, absolute legend, first ballot Hall of Famer, and fight fans out there, I don't know if you're from Ireland or whatever, stop giving him shit because he is a legend. I know Conor's the boy, and I mean I'm a big fan of Conor, but just let's be a little bit more respectful here. So my pick for the UFC 194 main event is Conor McGregor via third round TKO, uncrocks that left hand, ground and pound finish. So I've taken up nearly 40 minutes of your time here. Sorry guys, I've just kind of lost myself in this card. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. Please like, comment and subscribe. Let me know your picks. I want to know, are you Aldo or McGregor for this one? Because I think it's going to be close, and it's a lot of people are going to be different on their picks here. I will be on Half the Battle, so remember, come and watch that when it comes out. I'll put a link down in my channel when that comes out, and go check it out. So that's my picks. I'll be back for UFC on Fox, Cerrone versus Dos Anjos. GDS is going to absolutely wipe the floor with Alistair Overeem, and I'm going to win some money off that. So I'll be back for that. That'll be out probably next week. Until then, enjoy every fight from Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Las Vegas, and I will see you once again for UFC on Fox from Orlando. So take care and enjoy the fights.